Funding for this program is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, Louis B. and Louise Hirschfeld Coleman, Sue and Edgar Wackenheim III, and contributions to participating stations. Coming up, clean energy meets an iconic speedway.
Behind us is the Solar Pavilion. It'll make us the 5th largest solar panel install among sports stadiums across the country.
And a different motorsport goes renewable.
People are just all around surprised to hear that we are running a race car off of food-based products. It's just unheard of.
Exploring the frontiers of science. Probing cutting-edge technologies. Seeking answers to the big questions. Welcome to SciTech Central. The Daytona International Speedway will have more to share with NASCAR fans this year than the world-famous Daytona 500 race. Say auto racing and several things come to mind. Loud engines, fast cars, big crowds. Renewable energy, on the other hand, is not a term usually associated with the sport. But at the Daytona International Speedway, home of the iconic Daytona 500 NASCAR race, a recent renovation included an innovative installation.
Behind us is the Solar Pavilion. It'll make us the 5th largest solar panel install among sports stadiums across the country.
7,000 solar panels here at the pavilion, inside the track, and then on the back of the track as well. This is enough power for about 400 homes. Solar power has a bright future, no pun intended. Technology has gotten better, the prices have come down. This produces no emissions, uses no water. It's a terrific technology to have as part of a portfolio. This will serve the track very well during the day when the track is operating, and the rest of the time during the year when the track is not full operations, the stands aren't packed, this will go in and actually serve all of FPL's customers' homes and businesses and help them with being efficient and affordable.
Besides generating clean energy, the installation will also serve other purposes. For one, it gives the Speedway a chance to show another side of racing.
When people think about motorsports, they think about gasoline and they think about all those elements, but for us to have actually solar power on the property, I think that's just another commitment that we're trying to do things a little bit different than in years past.
It also presents an opportunity to educate fans.
Number 1 looking good, source number 2.
What's unique about this is that we've actually put the solar panel pavilion in a place that really is accessible to our fans.
There's going to be educational material below the solar panels in the pavilion, and we're going to take the opportunity to give people more information about what are the benefits of solar power and what are the challenges, because it's important to know the pros, the cons, what works, what doesn't work.
These solar panels will provide clean electricity for years to come. And hopefully, this installation will be generating an even more valuable commodity in future years.
We now have an opportunity here to reach out and touch fans and really the children that come with them. You know, this is such a family-friendly sport, and to have an opportunity for kids to come in here to see how solar works, to learn about it.
Car number 2 takes the lead.
Hopefully it will spark their imagination. They'll see why it's important to get a great education, to focus on STEM, and to make sure that they get mathematics, engineering, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, to study those hard, and then they can go out and frankly change the world, make a difference day in and day out.
Florida is called the Sunshine State, but it's not nearly as friendly to residential solar power as many other states. We sat down with a City of Orlando official to discuss how Florida can do more to help residents go solar.
Well, I'm joined by Chris Castro. He's the Senior Energy Advisor for the City of Orlando. Chris, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Let's look back before we look forward. Why does Florida lag so much in terms of adoption of solar?
Well, it really comes down to policies and legislation at both the state and the local level. When you look at marketplaces like New Jersey or Massachusetts or even Colorado, many of these states allow for third-party solar, where the cost of going solar isn't imposed on the end user or the homeowner or the building owner, but it's more so a financial mechanism for a solar company to help put solar on these rooftops and repay that through the traditional payment mechanism over time. And here in Florida, if a homeowner wants to go solar, they have to either have great credit score or have savings in the $15,000 to $20,000 range for them to get the solar on their houses. And the vast majority of people don't have access to that type of capital. So when you don't allow for this deregulated kind of third-party market, it really inhibits the potential of solar energy.
When you talk to local residents here in the city, what do you hear from them about solar energy, and what are some of them doing to try to sort of lower their own expenses and energy costs?
What we're seeing is that there's some groups in our community that have joined together to create what we call the Central Florida Solar Advocates. It's a group of different nonprofits and just interested citizens who've come together to create a solar cooperative. And by joining together, they're able to bulk purchase solar to lower the overall cost it takes to be installed. People think solar is expensive, but you really have to step back and realize why. When you're buying solar, you're buying electricity for over 25 to 30 years. So if a utility company came to you today and said, hey, I'm going to lock your power in for over 25 years, but you have to pay me all of that power up front right now, would you do it? And most people wouldn't even have the opportunity to do so. So when you're buying solar, you got to remember that we're buying for decades to come, and that's why the expense is so high up front and why we need to create financial mechanisms to offset that cost.
Chris Castro, Senior Energy Advisor for the City of Orlando, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Many people believe electric vehicles are the future of personal transportation. For one California company that builds motorcycles, the future is now, and they're hoping law enforcement will lead the way forward.
Internal combustion bikes have been around in one shape or form or another for over 125 years. And they're really at the end of their development cycle. We're just in the infancy of electric propulsion motorcycles. I'm Scott Harden. I'm the Vice President of Global Marketing of Zero Motorcycles. Zero is a California-based motorcycle manufacturer located near Santa Cruz, California. It was founded in 2006 by Neil Psyche, a former NASA engineer, who had a dream or an idea to take electric propulsion and apply it to two-wheeled motorcycles to see what could be done. Neil started out building a line of dirt bikes that were quite promising right from the bat in terms of their performance, weight, overall handling characteristic. Soon evolved into an on-road motorcycle. In most electric vehicles, essentially when you strip the battery apart, what you have are a bunch of normal battery cells, just like you would put in your flashlight, all taped together to create the battery monolith. In ours, we use a completely different system. Ours are lithium-ion polymer, and they're all in what would be like CD cassette cases, all square, flat, and stacked on each other like you would a series of playing cards. We mount the controller under the rear fender so that it gets a lot of cooling, a lot of airflow. A controller is what takes all of the energy that's stored in the battery and feeds it to the motor in a regulated manner. Without the proper setting on the controller, the throttle would become nothing more than an on-off switch, and we know how hard that would be to ride. It gives a very controlled, very precise, very linear power delivery to the motor in order to get the power to the ground. The onboard charging system on our bikes is designed so that no special equipment is needed at home in order to charge your vehicle. In fact, all you need is the cable right here, a standard 110 outlet, and it's as simple as plugging your bike in here and the other end into the wall. No more difficult than charging your iPhone. One of the cool things that we could do with it would be to allow people to customize and connect it with their phone. And really explore what could be done with that. So Zero created the first app that could be used through Bluetooth, connected to the motorcycle, to manage all the systems on the bike. You can literally track how your bike is doing, the state of charge, how far you've ridden it, how much money you saved in fuel. You can download the logs off the bike if there's any kind of technical issue and upload them and email them to us. There's a great way for us to stay on top of any technical issues that may arise. Over 50 police departments are using our bikes, and the reason is the cost of operation. Pennies per mile to drive, no maintenance on the powertrain, so the bikes don't have to go down for oil changes or air filters or adjustments, anything like that. And then there's the tactical advantage they provide. They're stealth-like. They can ride, they can patrol areas that they couldn't take in a regular motorcycle due to the noise it makes. And then last but not least, there's a public relations aspect to it. These bikes are very user-friendly. People don't feel intimidated by the noise because they make none. Kids can be around the bike because there's no heat coming off the motor.
We're here at the LAPD Edward Davis Training Facility, located at Granada Hills, California. My name is Steve Carbajal, and I'm an instructor for LAPD Off-Road. Today we will be starting a 4-day transition school for our motor officers transitioning into off-road enforcement. And one of our tools that we have is our new 100% electric motorcycle manufactured by Zero. This facility, the Edward Davis Training Facility, is a training location for our recruits. It has a firing range, it has an emergency vehicle operations center which we can perform high-speed chases on the track. It has a skid pan, which is an obstacle that we put recruits through. It wets the ground and it teaches them how to maneuver the vehicle when it loses traction. It also has an off-road obstacle course here that you see today. The Zero was purchased through a California State Parks grant, and with support of city councilmen, we are looking at purchasing possibly 3 more. We looked at different types of vehicles for our fleet, and this vehicle is cost efficient for the city. Trying to go green and do our part. Costs 6 cents to charge, doesn't use any fuel, and basically it's tires, brakes, and chains, very little maintenance for the city. Charges in about 2.5 hours, and it plugs in directly to 110 volt. It's super quiet, which some of our parks, it's a plus because there's a lot of equestrian, and it keeps the noise down and keeps everybody happy. One of the reasons we patrol in off-road enforcement is to be able to get to those locations that a normal patrol vehicle can't get to. And some of our large parks and fire roads, all the hills throughout the city, has a lot of open space. Some of the benefits of this vehicle is with no gears, clutch, or noise, our officers can focus on patrolling instead of focusing on transmission, shifting, and utilizing their gears. While in crowds, obviously not having emissions is a big key in the absence of ventilation concerns. They can perform highly technical maneuvers during intense situations as parades, concerts, or sporting events. We're able to go in and maneuver in tight quarters as seen today. In all those locations that I talked about is that utilizing this electric stealth motorcycle is we're able to get in there quietly opposed to our gas motorcycle. So it makes a big difference to have that element of surprise. Some of the tactical advantages of this motorcycle, they accelerate instantly. It's extremely lightweight and great for maneuverability. I do think with time that this motorcycle will replace the gas fleet. Over 30 government agencies from around the world have integrated this electric police motorcycle, and I'm proud to say that LAPD is now one of them.
The internal combustion engines in motorsports aren't the most environmentally friendly things, but a sweet new fuel is helping offset the carbon footprint of at least some race cars.
Remember that last scene in Back to the Future?
Wait a minute, what are you doing, Doc? I need fuel.
Back in 1985, using food waste for fuel seemed about as far off as flying cars. But now, it's reality. Welcome to the future. Kaufman is a professional Formula Drift driver.
Drifting is the ballet of motorsports. It's not racing, it's dancing.
In a drift competition, two cars squeal around tight turns, one following the other and trying to match its precision. Each contest is an intense 30 to 45 seconds.
It's the tire smoke, it's the cars going sideways at close to 100 miles an hour, it's the sound of the tires, it's the sound of the engines.
Motorsports are usually thought of as environmentally friendly. The Kaufman's team is breaking that stereotype. This year, they switched to a new fuel to offset their carbon footprint. Now, Kaufman's car, like the DeLorean in Back to the Future, runs on food waste.
People are just all around surprised to hear that we are running a race car off of food-based products. It's just unheard of.
Kaufman says the ethanol, called Thunderbolt Race Fuel, actually runs his car better than petroleum-based racing fuel.
But with this fuel, it is 100% consistent all the time. It's amazing.
The fumes are also less toxic for him to breathe. And there's another unexpected benefit.
The exhaust smells like berries.
You heard that right. The exhaust smells like berries. That's because the ethanol comes from a company in Cornelius, Oregon that makes dried fruit. Mark Smith is the owner of Summit Foods, the company that makes the fuel. He says the idea was born out of a problem. The process of drying fruit meant lots of sugary waste juice.
We just kept talking about what do we do with this waste. Landfill didn't want it, and the sewer, it was very, very expensive to, so we just kept storing and storing it.
Then they started fermenting the juice and distilling it into very pure alcohol, or ethanol.
We'd like to, at some point, do millions of gallons a year of waste stream ethanol, and we'll just keep working on it till we get it.
Kaufman says it's only a matter of time before food waste ethanol goes beyond the racetrack.
If the Thunderbolt all-natural eco-friendly fuel is not only better than the other racing fuels, it would be by far better than the low-quality fuels that Americans are served every single day into their domestic cars.
In fact, Kaufman says, it just might be the fuel of the future.
With solar power, you can actually generate the power exactly where you're using it. You can put the panel on your roof and use it in your house. We call it distributed power, and it's great. It does sometimes make sense to use solar power in a centralized fashion, giant fields full of solar panels, especially if those giant fields are in places where the sun shines 364 days a year. But don't get too excited. Despite the marvelous efficiency of distributed power, solar panels still remain much more expensive than centralized power.
Ethanol has traditionally been made from food crops, but many experts believe that's not a wise use of resources. Now, a multinational corporation is starting to produce ethanol from unused stalks, leaves, and corn cobs. And a high school student may be ahead of them.
Nevada, Iowa, the heart of America's Corn Belt. DuPont is celebrating the opening of their newest achievement, a cellulosic ethanol plant.
As most of you know, this facility is unique in that it turns the leaves, stalks, and cobs left over after the corn harvest into cellulosic ethanol, a clean, homegrown, and totally renewable fuel.
Ethanol is a fuel made by harnessing the power of one of humanity's oldest technologies, fermentation. Most ethanol in the United States is produced by fermenting the sugar or glucose locked in the starch found in corn kernels. The process is similar to the one used to create alcoholic drinks. Cellulosic ethanol plants are the future of the ethanol industry, and the future of cellulosic ethanol may have been discovered 300 miles away in Aurora, Illinois.
Chemistry to me is something that's very relaxing. So just doing for example, thermochemical equations and understanding how much is this going to heat up, or understanding rates of reactions and imagining the different processes that work out.
Tavis Reed is a 17-year-old high school senior at the elite Illinois Math and Science Academy. One of his school research projects unexpectedly took him down the same path as DuPont, to cellulosic ethanol.
I didn't really know anything about ethanol before I talked to one of my professors about what's a good project to do in biology that would be simple for a sophomore to do, and he suggested ethanol.
Growing corn to produce ethanol is hard on the environment. It requires millions of acres of land and oceans of water and chemical fertilizers. Creating ethanol from the leftover stalks, leaves, and cobs of the corn plant, called stover, reduces ethanol's environmental footprint. But this tough, fibrous material is not easy to process.
It's more difficult to make those sugars from biomass than it is to make them from starch. You and I make sugar from starch all the time. We eat too many donuts or whatever, too much starch, but we can convert that starch to sugar very readily. Now, converting biomass to sugar is a lot more difficult. That's why a cow has 4 stomachs and, needs to take a little break once in a while and chew things twice. And so that's kind of what happens here. This is sort of the equivalent of that cow, where things are processed a little bit more intensely.
DuPont's cellulosic fermentation process relies on ammonia to break the stover down and speed up the fermentation process. Tavis also looked to nature and found an innovative way of solving the problem.
I was reminded by a video I had watched in freshman biology where these two organisms, a fish and a shrimp, work together in what's called a symbiotic relationship to improve the quality of life for both of them. I was able to find 2 bacteria that could both live together, and one was able to break down cellulose into glucose, and the other one was able to ferment that glucose into ethanol at a high rate. I was able to work to create this process that reduced the cost of creating ethanol by 85%, decreased land usage by 87%, and increased profits by 891%. You could use your grass in your front lawn. You could use the leaves that fall from trees. You can use anything that's already available in our modern environments and our current farms.
The construction of a cellulosic ethanol plant like DuPont's is driven by the quest for a source of clean, renewable energy.
We're at heart a science company, and this is an application of science. This is another opportunity to take our science and apply it to the world's pressing problems. The need to feed people, the need to provide people with more energy that's sustainable, and to protect them.
You can start to see climate change happening a lot more. It's a lot more vivid now. You can see the polar ice caps melting or other problems in the environment, like extreme weather. To know that I didn't do anything to stop that, I had to live with that.
The construction of DuPont's cellulosic ethanol plant took several years and cost $225 million. Tavis doesn't have a fraction of that budget, but his research is already showing results.
I entered my project into the competition called Afro-Cultural Technological Scientific Olympics of the Mind, or ACSO for short. And so that's a local and a national competition. I won gold locally for my work my junior year, and then nationally I competed just this past summer and won the national gold medal for my research.
Tavis's cellulosic ethanol process is still experimental, but it may soon be something that's happening on a huge scale.
I do have my provisional patent, and I'm working to gain my full patent. I don't have a whole bunch of funding or a whole bunch of lab space, but right now I'm trying to stick at the things that I know I can solve, so I'm not just sitting here in the lab making small progress on a bigger subject, but making big progress in a smaller subject. And that's really excites me. That's why I picked clean energy as my field of research, because I really want to make sure that when I'm done, my processes help the Earth, they didn't harm the Earth.
That's all for this week on SciTech Central. Thanks for watching. Join us next week for more stories from the frontiers of science and technology. Funding for this program is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, Louis B. and Louise Hirschfeld Coleman, Sue and Edgar Wackenheim III, and contributions to participating stations.